I want you to think about for a second how two people can walk into the same room, the same environment, the same people, the same party going on, the same appies, the conversations, the music that's playing. They're two people walking into the exact same room. And one of them at the end of the night is feeling energized, feeling inspired, feeling like that was an awesome night, connecting with friends, so many laughs, the food was great, it was awesome. Everything was, perfect. It was awesome. The other one walks out feeling drained, feeling judged, feeling like, ugh, I could not wait to get out of there. And maybe they even felt like the food was subpar, the music was way too loud, there was way too many people there with like the wrong vibe. They did not have a good time. And this is the same room, but completely different realities. And when you think about these types of situations and how two people could get into a brand new car, one person feels like, this is my dream car. This is incredible. The other one's like, ugh, this is way too big or way too leathery or way too, whatever it is. That could be one person's dream car and one person's nightmare car. Think of, for example, a Tesla or a Tesla truck, right? Some people, that's their dream car. Other people, it gives them a physical no reaction feeling. So what is going on here? Is this dish the best dish, in town, or is it the worst? If you go look at the reviews, you're going to see both. What is going on here? This is not random, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how we are living in a simulation, and I'm not going to go fully into the matrix and all that kind of stuff, but more the actual reality. The facts of how we are living in the center of our own reality, and how Neville Goddard talks about the world is you pushed out. So we're going to talk about this from a few different angles. We're even going to talk about the brain. We're going to talk about, things like projection, and it's really going to help. So if you feel like you've been doing all the work, but your reality still feels kind of heavy, or you feel, like you just don't love what's coming up for you, whether it's your money, situation or work environment or triggers going on, whatever it is. If you're experiencing these things, especially if you're experiencing looping patterns or you're feeling in any way out of your power, meaning, maybe you feel like you don't have the power to change this, or no matter what you do, this keeps showing up. Or maybe you're just curious about this stuff and making the best life for yourself possible. Whatever you're going through, this is definitely for you, because it's time to step deeper for all of us into being the deliberate creator of our reality, because we are. And I truly believe in all of consciousness and humans. Right now, our consciousness is expanding. We're learning more. We're realizing more. We're becoming awake and aware to more. And this is where it's leading. I believe that there's more people waking up all the time to things that some of us have known about for decades. How we really are the creator of our reality. Yes, there are things like the law of attraction or the law of correspondence, or, all these other universal laws that really do exist that prove this. And as I said, we're going to talk about from the brain to our emotions to these physical laws, to really put the power back in your hands, to put the keys back in your hands, because you are the one driving the bus. You can decide if it's the worst party you ever went to, or something that, was a really expansive time. You can decide if you're in a good place right now or a bad place right now. You are the one that can control these things. And we're going to talk about it not just from a go out and change your life, but how do we actually do that? Because it's one thing to say, like, you create your reality, now go, like, see you in the next episode. But we're going to bring it down to the ground, as I like to do, to really break it apart and really talk about it. So I am excited for this episode. And if you are new here, hello, hi, welcome to the Awakening Her podcast. And for those of you that aren't new, welcome back. My name is Talia Joy. I am a guide of various sorts for self-led humans, change makers, people that are really here for this life of transformation, this life of radical magic and healing and growth and expansion and coming here to live the life that we really intended to, the one that we want, the one that's on our heart. So we talk about all things: transformation, personal growth, healing, manifestation, and so much more, because it all leads to you becoming the version of you that you were meant to be, the version of you that's fully expressed, that's feeling magnetic, that's living in your skin, in your life, and feeling really good. So today we are talking about that as well, and we're going about it in a mind-bending way. And before we dive in, if you have not already, grab a copy of my book, The Delicate Art of Transformation. It is such a fun and real and mind-bending in itself guide to self-growth, to personal transformation. It will take you from where you are into bridging the gap into your next level. And it's a book that you can read and reread, and the chapters are short, so you can go back and be like, what did she say about looping patterns, and what about the inner child, and really how to take all this stuff that you've learned and move it forward in your journey. So it's available on Amazon. I'll put the link below. It's available worldwide. Grab a copy. I would be so honored if you did. And if you've already grabbed a copy, please remember to write a review on your Amazon. It really does make all the difference. And while I'm here saying that, a review on the podcast for whatever app you're playing, it means so much to me. It's really the only way and the biggest way that you can support the show. It makes a difference. Every little digital, vote, a 5-star review or a comment, it really, really goes far. So I thank you so much for doing that if you find value in this show. Okay, with that, I really now have nothing else to say. Let's dive into the episode. I'm so excited. So take a deep breath. Drop your shoulders, maybe take a sip of water, and let's dive in. For a really long time, my reality felt heavy. From the time I can remember as a kid, I struggled with myself, with being quote unquote too sensitive. I had pain when I was 12 in my back and in my body. I was bullied. I've talked about my story for those of you that have listened to the podcast, but my reality never felt easy. I felt deeply emotionally in turmoil. I went to counseling when I was young. I went to therapy when I was young. My issues morphed into an eating disorder, which took over, almost 2 full decades of my life, because it just did. And in that journey, there was alcohol and drugs, and I went down a very windy path. It wasn't easy for me to feel grateful in my life and be powerful and sparkly and live in the life, live in the dream. That was never my reality. In fact, way back in the day, if any of you are around my age, millennial-ish or whatever, you remember like instant messaging and some of the original sort of what became like Facebook and all that. But there was different little messaging things. There was like ICQ and I don't even remember now some of the names. Anyway, I would have like chat names or screen names like back in the day. I know that still exists, but this was way back. And I would always have mine be struggle. So sometimes it was like struggle 44 or whatever, because I really did feel like when it came down to it, I don't know what else to call myself. I was struggle. That was what I felt. It was struggling emotionally, struggling in my body. Everything just felt hard. I felt like I didn't fit. And personally in my life, I'm always like, I perceive that I'm always the weird one. Like I'm left-handed. My blood type is the most rare. I have curly, wild hair. My friends all had blue eyes and I have brown eyes. I've always felt like, even being like a double Scorpio, I felt like mysterious and angsty and like I didn't belong. Now finding out human design reflector, it's hilarious for any of you that know human design. But no matter how I look at it, whether it's like I'm the empath in the room, I'm the sensitive, I've always just felt different. And when I say like, hey, I'll be the left-handed weirdo in the corner, like I mean it. I have always felt like I didn't fit in. And even in high school when I had friends and I was funny and super cash and, all that, I always struggled in my skin. I always felt insecure. I always was so critical of myself and, like, why'd you say that? And don't be this and don't be that. And I remember when I was in elementary school, I believe it was grade 5, I had a really good friend. And I remember at the time I asked him, I said, like, what do people say behind my back? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, when I leave a room, like, do people talk about me? He's like, I don't know. Like, we're literally in elementary school. I'm like so cripplingly self-aware. But anyway, I'm like, well, can you like tell me if people start saying things about me? Because these were the words that came out of my mouth. I said, I don't want to be too much of anything to anyone. And I think back to that. I remember that. Like, I don't want to be too much. So if someone's saying, oh, Talia, she's too loud, I would be like, okay, I'm going to be quieter. Or, oh, Talia, and he never really, the conversation didn't go anywhere. We're in like, grade 5. I don't know what happened, if anyone ever talked behind my back, but I remember that insecurity. And so why I'm talking about this today is just to paint the picture first that I've never automatically loved myself, like maybe at birth, but I just mean, through this human experience, I've deeply struggled. And when it comes to being positive about myself or having a positive perception of reality and how it slants for me and where I fit in this world, it's never been easy. So I'm not going to go deeper into my story. That's enough. But I always sprinkle in my story, but I just want you to understand, first of all, especially if you're new here, you see this thing on the outside of what I am right now. You hear the podcast or you follow me on Instagram. Maybe we've worked together. You've been in a program, something, and it can sound great because I'm here sharing what I've overcome, but it was never easy. Like success and self-growth and confidence and self-love, those were never easy for me. So just wanted to say that. And when I was younger and as I've grown up, my body has always been a very hard place to be. All those things about being even an empath and having pain and then, body image issues and all this stuff, my body was always tight. My body was always overwhelmed and overstimulated. And I now thankfully work with that every single day. Doesn't mean it's gone, but now I have tools that I can work with it so my body isn't so tight or isn't so overstimulated. But that's kind of my default mode if I don't sort of shift myself into a new state. So anyway, I was always in my head. I was always trying to figure it out. If something flopped in my business or if something wasn't working, with my body or something like that, I was always trying to figure it out. I was always thinking I was doing the wrong thing, even energetically. Like if I was doing the right thing, I'd be able to manifest it like tomorrow. So it was always this low key shame. I always felt like I was an impossible puzzle that couldn't be put together or I hadn't cracked yet. And I also believed that life was hard and I needed to always figure it out. So I don't know how else to describe it. I'm kind of almost lost for words because the emotion of it was just so scrambly and what do I need to do? And I was just so outside myself, which so many of us go through and are going through right now. So adulthood and growth and healing, it was just exhausting and hard and stressful. And I kind of felt like I just had so much stuff I'd been through. Where do I even start? How do I even heal this big thing? So anyway, for a long time, that was my life. And I was moving forward. And I know you can relate to this in times in your life where those times led to, the counseling I was talking about, the therapy, the realizations about my inner child or my shadow, and all that stuff was so important. But where I've come as I've moved through this, I've realized that what we perceive is what we receive. What we believe to be true about ourselves is ultimately what unfolds in our reality. And so as much as all of that hard work and, deep diving, it all was important. I'd never take it back. It was so important. However, I've come to the place where I've realized that yes, there's a time and a place to go, that thing felt big or that trigger, what was that? Of course, right? We'll always be growing. But let's shift our focus into how this reality works. And what if it isn't just a reality out there, like money is hard, or my body is this, or, I am this way in my economic status and, this is the bracket I'm in and I can't change it, or whatever it is, whatever these social understandings and what we think reality is, what if it is more malleable than we could ever imagine? And I know that when I say we live in a simulation, everyone's going to be like, well, first of all, you clicked on it. So I love that. Me and you will have tinfoil hats and talk about all the things. Let's get into it. But truly, beyond just theoretical, even though that stuff is probably more likely to exist than not, it's also deeply practical. So let's start with the brain. And this is the shit I find so interesting. So our brain, some of you know this, of course, some of you, it may be new. So I'm just going to start at the beginning. But the brain is something called the reticular activating system, RAS. And it's basically a filter. So there's millions, if not maybe trillions, I'm not sure, but millions of pieces of information happening around you all the time. So right now, as I'm recording, I'm looking at, out my window. I've got my iPad in front of me. I've got my mic. I've got my mug of coffee beside me. And as I'm talking, I'm looking out at the trees and I'm looking up at the sky and I'm kind of just channeling what I'm saying. I have my notebook with some general notes of all the things I want to touch on. But going on around me is more than just that. There's a leaf that fell off a tree in my peripheral vision. Maybe something is going on downstairs. Like sometimes when I have the fireplace on, it's way downstairs, but I'll hear like a pop of like the wood in the wood burning stove. Or maybe there's a honk going on down the block, but it's so faint. It's going on and our senses do pick it up. Our brain is picking up those million pieces of information. But because it's not useful to take in all of that, like right now I'm recording. So it's not really useful for me to be like, ooh, there's a leaf over there that's like way in my peripheral and in my neighbor's property or whatever. Or any of those examples, it's not practical to take it all in. Talk about overwhelm. Like we're already overwhelmed. So what happens is because there's millions of pieces of information coming forward, your brain has to decide what matters, what do we focus on, and basically what makes it through the filter as important and what doesn't. It just has to prioritize. It's like a computer. So if I'm right now looking outside and as I'm talking, I'm looking at a branch and I'm noticing it swaying and it just really works beautifully with everything I'm saying. It's great. It doesn't matter if a leaf fell in my way far right peripheral vision. It really has no, impact. It's not important. So the brain does pick up on it, but it doesn't make it through the filter. The reticular activating system is like the filter. So this is why something can happen and it'll be like, do you remember that on Tuesday? Like when the garbage man came, they were going really slow or whatever. That's such a random example, but you might go, you know what? Yeah. Or if something happens that all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, wait, what happened? And then you're like, wait, just before that, right before those guys came in, this actually happened. It's like it's there, but it wasn't deemed as important. This is why eyewitness testimony can be really unreliable, because you could be like, yeah, I saw a guy, but you didn't fully take in all the information. So people can be like, oh, he was wearing a red hoodie. No, it was a blue hoodie. He was in shorts. No, he was in slacks, because the brain took it in, but not fully. Or you can say, oh yeah, there was a white truck parked beside our car when we went to dinner. It's like it was in the brain, but it wasn't deemed as important, right? You get the picture. So because your brain is prioritizing what's important right there, it means that your reality is being altered by a filtering system. So imagine if you were wearing colorblind glasses or glasses that canceled out all red, and you put them on and you walked around. You would be seeing reality, but you'd only be seeing a slant of it. You wouldn't be seeing the full spectrum of all the colors and all of that, right? You'd see the car, you'd see the tree, but you wouldn't be taking it all in. It's kind of like we live a filtered version of reality. So what determines what your brain takes in as important and not is layered. So I'm just going to put a pin in that for a second and come back to it. But it's been studied in neuroscience that your brain is constantly looking for, I guess this kind of does pull into what I just put a pin in, but your brain is constantly looking for confirmation. So it's got this activating system that's sorting. This is important. This is not important. That car over there is not important. Ooh, that car, coming towards you and you're walking on the street. That is important because you want to make sure you're enough on the shoulder. So this is important. That's not. That is based. Sorry, I'm just trying to put it into words. Your brain is constantly looking for confirmation of your existing beliefs and reality and what we believe is important. So when it's a car and you're going to notice the one coming towards you so that you can make sure you're on the shoulder of the road, that's important. But based on our reality, our perceived reality, based on our thoughts, based on our perceptions, We will deem things as important or not. So if you believe, so less about actual survival, like, hey, there's a car coming, or hey, there's a bear charging toward me, away from survival and into also how your brain, your reticular activating system filters. If you believe things are hard, if you believe people don't support me, or I'm behind, or I should be farther ahead by now, your brain goes, okay, got it. Let me highlight all the evidence for that. Like, you can look into this yourself. I'm not just telling you this. This is the reticular activating system. It's how our brain works. So we say, I forever have held the belief I'm alone. It's to do with trauma. It's to do, I could say, starseed stuff, whatever it is, that feeling of being alone. So my brain goes, okay, got it. Let me show you all the evidence to prove that. All right. It is going to filter based on what will confirm your existing beliefs. And it's not because it's trying to hurt you. It's because it's efficient. It's a computer. It's consistent. That's the programming. That's how we work. So when you believe things are hard, of course, the things you look at with no fault, this isn't shame, this isn't judgment. If you think things are hard, you're going to notice everything that's hard. When we are hyper-focused on how frickin' expensive groceries are, every trip to the grocery store, you're going to be like, oh my God, like $10 for peanut butter, $7 for bread, what is happening? Whereas if you had a perception of, it is what it is, I'm going to choose wisely at the store, I came with a budget, let's see what I can get, whatever it is, you're not hyper fixated on, oh my gosh, $12, oh my gosh. That's just a small example. But when it comes to the reticular activating system in your mind, you will actually see and experience things that back up your beliefs. It's like if you've decided you want a specific car. Suddenly you see that car everywhere, right? Or if there's a certain place you've been thinking about and you've been really researching, not only the algorithm online, but in real life, you start seeing, you've been, researching a lot about India, and then you meet someone who's from India, or you see certain art that came from a region that you were just reading about. It's now we're going to notice it. Now you're going to notice things about India, and it's going to feel like India's everywhere because that's your brain. Right now in your brain, things about Japan, things about Canada, like not as interesting, but things about India, ooh, right? And that, again, online, there's an algorithm, but this will happen in your reality. It happens everywhere. Once you decide that you want that car, or you start noticing that car. When I got my car, I started noticing how many of them were on the road. Before that, I'd never noticed it. But after getting it, I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody has my car, and even silver, like it's wild. And that's our reticular activating system. So when your brain goes, okay, now this matters, this is what we're focusing on, that's what we're going to show you more of. So then it starts to feel like that's just how life is. Every second person really does have my car. But in reality, that's not true. In reality, you're seeing your beliefs reflected back to you. And I've used this example on the podcast many times over all the years. If you had an experience, say in a relationship with a man, or you had several relationships where men were unfaithful, you could hold a belief, maybe even your mom told you this, society, somebody kept telling you this, men can't be faithful. And I've heard people say that, like no man can be faithful. That's a pretty strong belief. However, when you go out in reality, you're going to see it. The friend who, was cheated on in a show, you're going to notice it and be like, yeah, that's totally how guys are. And then even if you meet someone new and they seem great, you're going to be like, yeah, we'll just wait. Like they can't be faithful forever. Eventually it's going to happen. And this is how we start to slant life. And meanwhile, that belief came in this fictitious example, but I've seen this so many times in friends and clients, and of course with my own beliefs with different things. It seems real. It came from trauma. It came from something shitty that happened, and then probably something else happened that reflected it. And pretty soon it really did feel real. So we don't shame ourselves for this, but we do realize, and of course I'm going to start to switch up the episode to what we can do about it. But right now we're just kind of making these connections of holy crap, this really is the way that this simulation works. So as we start to shift our beliefs, we start noticing things differently. If you've done work with abundance or heard, my work with abundance, where we start looking at the abundance of things, the abundance of leaves on the trees, the abundance of pens in the jar or hoodies in my closet or blades of grass on the lawn, you start noticing the plus in life. You start noticing all the green cars. You start noticing more of the sunny days, and there's lilacs there and lilacs there, and you start noticing the abundance of lilacs. And it's the way that your brain now starts noticing something different. So this is where it gets humbling, because your reality is your beliefs reflected back to you. However, it's incredibly empowering. And I'm just going to tell you, as your coach friend in this moment, it serves nobody. It serves you nothing to go, I created this pain, debt, relationship, stagnancy. You didn't do that. That's not the point of it. The point is the empowering part, the moving forward part. You're not just experiencing reality, you're participating in it. And this is where the body starts to get involved deeply, because your body doesn't know the difference between when something is really happening or it's perceived, right? Like we can go into a meditation and it could bring you to tears because you're living something in your mind. We can wake up from a dream with our heart pounding and you can be sweating because of something in your mind, in your consciousness that was happening in a dream. We can see a car that resembles your ex's car and our heart starts beating and our hands get all clammy and they drive by and it's not even them. And we go, oh, right? Your body perceives it as true as this is going on with our reality. And it's not just spiritual, it's biology. And there's studies showing that imagined stress triggers the same physiological response as real stress, just as I'm saying. You think it's your ex in the car and you see a girl in the seat or whatever, and oh my God, and then it's not even them at all. So when we're walking around, back to our own stuff and our own reality, when we're walking around thinking, I can't handle this, this is too much, I'm not cut out with this, I'm behind, I'm weak, I'm unmotivated, your body responds with tightness and anxiety and overwhelm. And you guys that have suffered and struggled in your body, you're going to want to, first of all, get on the wait list for the new program I'll talk about in a second. But your body is holding, you've heard the body keeps the score, your body holds trauma and all that, but it's also holding the tension and tightness of right now, of your interaction that we don't quite know how to alchemize that energy. The tension you feel when you start to feel not enough, or look at your bank account, or see your body in the mirror. That overwhelm, that anxiety, that panic in that moment gets stored in your body because it's stress and it's coming up as stress. And in the moment of stress, that's when your body tenses up. So the rock hard shoulders or the aching lower back or mid back because you've been carrying the weight of the world is not just stuff you have to dig up in the past. It's not just that one thing that happened that you're storing in that one area of your body, sure. But where we start to turn it around is when we recognize right now is where we carve the future. Right now is where we make the impact of tomorrow. And in simple reality, if you drank 2 liters of water today, you're going to be more hydrated today. You're going to be more hydrated going into tomorrow. If you took a walk today, if you got 10,000 steps, physiologically, you got 10,000 steps and your body is circulating better. The circulation through your legs or whatever it is, that's physical, that's real. This is how we change tomorrow, is not just by going back, not just by endlessly digging, and certainly not by believing that you're broken, that you have 7 million wounds that you need to uncover and you need to understand and we need to pattern and we need to map and we need to figure. Sure, fine. That stuff will come up as it's meant to. However, how you are being right now, how you are thinking, how you are perceiving your reality right now is putting it into existence. You are feeling yourself and perceiving yourself into existence. And I want to talk about for a second the law of correspondence and the law of assumption. But the law of correspondence directly states that your inner world reflects into your outer world. And what is going on in your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. The law of correspondence, it's as is below, so is above as is below. Is that how you say it? That is the law of correspondence. It means what is on the inside is also on the outside. What is low is also high. What is black is also what? White. What is left is also right. Implying that there's a left means that there's a right. You can look it up. It's very fascinating, the law of correspondence. But this isn't just a concept floating around. This is happening in our body. It's happening in our life right now. Your outer world reflects your inner world. And what is happening through your brain, what is happening through your nervous system, what is happening through your behaviors is truly what is going on inside. So start to notice that what you believe shapes how you see things. It shapes how you feel. It shapes how you respond to life or react to life, as we talked about a few episodes ago. It shapes what you create. And one more thing I want to talk about quickly is projection. And this is really early psychology, and this is from Freud, and he was one of the first people to really define it. And he explained it pretty simple. He said projection is something that happens when we have something going on inside of us, feelings, thoughts, impulses, etc., that we don't want to fully look at. Some people could call it or expand on it with the shadow. We'll get to that in a second. You don't want to fully look at it. You don't like it. You maybe haven't accepted it in yourself or something. And then we kind of place it out onto other people, right? So if someone gets really riled up, I hate my friend. They're so inconsiderate. They're always late. They're always late. They're so inconsiderate. They're always late. Chances are, what Freud would say, is that feeling of being inconsiderate and always late, that may be a part of yourself that you're unwilling to look at, that really bugs you. Or what does that mean? So when they're inconsiderate and always late, it means that they're, stomping all over me and don't respect me. That could be coming back to a wound. So that is in essence projection. And we do it all the time. All of us do it in lots of different ways. So he describes it too, like instead of us saying or feeling, I feel insecure, we may not be able to see that in ourselves or want to admit it or want to look at it. So instead, the projection becomes like everybody's judging me. And I've been there a million times, like at the beach in my bathing suit, everybody's judging me. Everybody's thinking I'm this and that. And that's really projection coming from I feel insecure. So even what Freud's talking about points back to what is going on within you gets displayed in your external world. Because then Carl Jung came in after Freud and expanded it further, where he talked about how, projection isn't just a defense mechanism, but it's how the unconscious mind shows itself. So it's really just an extension of the same thing Freud's talking about, almost like he would talk about how it's almost like our outside world becomes a mirror for what hasn't been fully seen on the inside, or just simply what's going on the inside. So if our life is filled with richness and abundance and, all of this, it means that inside us, we feel abundant, we feel safe, we feel secure, we're in alignment with that. So when we put these things on other people or we experience these things that are really frustrating, it is a mirror for what has not fully been seen inside. So Jung talks about how when we're projecting, we're actually meeting parts of ourselves that we haven't fully integrated. So yeah, I know it gets deep, right? And it's funny because in one breath, I'm saying, don't try to decode yourself. And then I'm telling you, every little thing you do is attached to something else. But when we just simply understand again that we are in the driver's seat, and we look at it through projection or the laws of the universe or the reticular activating system, it just starts to, in our mind, go, okay, this isn't something someone's just saying. And I'm not just saying, just please believe me. It's like, no, this is how it actually works. And I need to remind myself of this. And I remind my clients of this. And right now, reminding you of this. You are truly in the driver's seat. So what you believe dictates what you notice, then dictates how you feel, which then dictates how you respond, which then dictates how you create. So if your reality feels heavy in any way right now, you're not doing something wrong. You maybe have been looking at that area of life through the lens that has been reinforcing that experience. And I work with people who are self-led. Often we've got parts of life that we are rocking. My clients are powerful human beings. They've overcome, they've healed. A lot of them have businesses or they, career driven, or they're moms or they're creatives or whatever it is, badass. And there are areas of life where sometimes feel really stuck. Like clients will be like, I'm doing this and doing this, but like I've never been able to tap into wealth, into money, or this one pattern, or it's my health, it's my body. These are often key lenses that we've been carrying that are reinforcing over and over our experience. So if you feel like it's like, I don't know, like I've been doing so much, trying so much, it's not a lack of effort, and something is still looping, all of the journaling and healing and sometimes quote unquote fixing your life is sometimes put on top of the belief of or not even the belief, but the experience of I'm overwhelmed, I can't handle more, this is hard. Yet we're trying to be like, okay, but I'm just going to crack through this other thing and I'm just going to do more. And this is an overload. It keeps proving the narrative that it's true to your system, that life is hard, that you have to crack it, and it's overwhelming, but we have to do more, which any of you that know the nervous system and trauma, more is more traumatic. Too much, too fast, too soon is when our nervous system starts flopping over into reaction mode, into stress response. So if we are already feeling overwhelmed and not in our body and not centered and not grounded and like we can't handle more, yet we're trying to journal and heal and fix all of our life, it continues to reinforce that struggle and that cycle that things are hard. And your brain is like aggressively loyal. It is going to filter your reality to back up what you believe. If you believe money is hard, unfortunately, that's what all we can create more of. So the work becomes, okay, let's shift this up. You are living in a simulation where literally what you do right now is unfolding your tomorrow. What happened 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 months ago, 25 years ago, what you've been told you are, what you think your habits are, or what you think you're good at or not good at, all of it comes down to this moment. And it's not just about thinking positive, it's actually noticing, what do I want to believe about my reality? The better it gets, the better it gets. I'm scrappy, I'm resilient, I've never given up. I can feel that I am not only on the precipice of something big, but something big is happening right now. I can feel it in my cells. I'm exactly on time. Everything I've done has led to here. And sometimes we like to get in our head that, we should be farther ahead by now, but that one person you're comparing yourself to that might have more, real estate or money or health or one thing that you see like, oh my God, they also have other areas of their life that are a mess or that they're working on. They may not love themselves. They may not be in a loving relationship. They may have a screwed up relationship with money or their parents just like we do or whatever else. So we can't just glamorize and I should be here by now and then just believe it and go forward and then everything keeps showing us that it's not even true. So what do you want to reinforce into your tomorrows? Are you perfectly on time? Are you fucking powerful? Is this your year, month, week to make it all happen? Are you going all in on yourself? Are you deserving of the life that you desire? Are you going to turn the ship around and put the keys fully back in your own hands? What do you want to reinforce moving forward? What do you want to believe about this reality? Because that awareness alone starts to loosen the grip. And this is where it gets so much deeper. I know we've gone so deep already, but deeper beyond the mind. This is where you actually move along in your spiritual journey. To all of you seekers out there, old souls out there, those of you that are curious and into advancing your soul and, the lessons you came here for and the reality and the magic you came here for and your relationship to source and your inner source and whatever that looks like. This is where we move along on our spiritual journey. Because the way that I perceive it, see if it resonates, our soul isn't just part of this journey so that we can remember the cosmos and the cosmos information and information about past lives or information about our soul. That's the way that they see it, how I'm receiving it is like, that's kind of like the icing on the cake. That's kind of the deep stuff that us old souls get into. But what is really more important is how we live our life, how we walk through our journey. And the soul doesn't just evolve through thinking about life or trying to uncrack or decode or whatever. Trying, efforting. That's not how the soul evolves. It evolves as you evolve. And this is going to, I think, deeply land with some of you. I see it as how it's been presented to me through my channel is the reason why our life is a simulation. The reason why laws, the physical laws of the universe, the law of correspondence, or things like projection, the reason why these exist and that our reticular activating system does what it does is because that is how we grow. So that's why everything we do is being almost shot back at us in our reality, and that we are ultimately the deliberate creators. That's all on purpose so that we realize it and grow. So if we are going through life really like crunched up in a belief and we just hate something, we have rage, we're going to see that rage everywhere. We're going to feel that hate. We're going to feel all this stuff until the point that we hopefully crack. And maybe it's get help, or we read a book, or, somebody helps us on our journey to, shift our perception and heal whatever's going on. That actually benefits us to stop and crack. If you've read my book, or heard me talk about the goo phase, it's so important. It's the in-between. It's the dismantling. So this whole experience is set up as a simulation so that you grow, so that you endlessly are seeing parts of yourself reflected back to you. Your gifts and your light, as well as the things that you're being asked to grow through. So we are put in the center as the deliberate creator because I believe, again, how I perceive it is Source gives us free will. You are the driver of the bus in this reality. And by giving you that free will and having it be like a house of mirrors all around you, that everything you do is, what your perception is then you filtered or displayed back to you constantly. Sorry, my words are losing me. Because it's that way, it forces you to grow. So spiritually, and as I'm talking about, the soul grows as you grow. The soul grows as you see these things. Why do I have looping patterns with this? Why has this thing been so challenging? Why do I feel this and this? Well, that's going to cause you to grow. So this house of mirrors simulation is not for a bad reason. It's not a torture chamber, even though, believe me, it's a fine line. Is Earth and this human experience a torture chamber, or is it a growth chamber? Both. Another tidbit spiritually that I see through my channel is that only some souls choose to come to Earth, especially older souls, because it is such a dense portal of learning. And we learn more in an Earth lifetime than hundreds of lifetimes in other places because there is so much contrast. There is a house of mirrors. You are your own torture chamber if you choose it to be. You are the one that will either elevate or self-destruct. And that's a tough existence. That's tough. That's a hard sort of, it's like a hard game. Like you put me in this simulation, that's tough. It's not easy for any of us. But by realizing it, we actually start to grow. And again, your soul doesn't just grow as you access information about your past lives. That's not where your soul really grows. Your soul grows by this experience as you soften, as your nervous system softens, as your body feels safer, as you learn to master this reality. When you learn to be the observer of your life instead of being flailed around and kicked around by it. This is where our patterns shift. This is where we evolve. And you literally become somebody who experiences life differently. And you've already done that many times. You already experience life differently than you did 5 years ago, than you did 10 years ago. So you're already on that right track. Same world, different perception. You're experiencing life differently now compared to a few years ago because you're in a different consciousness. Two people can enter the same room and have a different experience. You are having a different experience of this reality. And that's what also shows you that you are in the driver's seat. So from here, we're going to start to anchor this in because you don't shift your reality overnight, or as I'm saying, by just thinking or just getting information. You shift it by feeling different, experiencing different, responding differently, deciding to have new patterns, new beliefs. And sometimes it can be as easy. I had a client who was adamant that she was not a morning person, but she'd also had little kids and all this stuff. And when we started working together, I encouraged her because she really was attached and wanted to get up early. And we worked through, like, do you even need to get up early? Like, is that, no, she really wanted to. It was peaceful. She felt connected to spirit. So we got to the point where I was lovingly challenging her to do it one day this week, to get up early, and see how it felt. And first of all, she loved it. It was amazing. Her kid didn't wake up and she thought they would. And she got this like half an hour of like with her tea and with her body and with spirit. And it was so beautiful. And fast forward, working together for a couple months, she now was doing that most days of the week. And she's like, I love it. And we had this moment where, as much as this is not, it is a life-changing example for her because it really did change her day and the way she saw herself. But in real simple terms, she thought she was not a morning person until something came along that shifted her perception of herself. And all of a sudden, she's not really thinking, am I a morning person or not? But she's rocking this morning routine that's changing her life. And now she's saying, I love mornings. It's like the most spiritual time. It's the time I feel most connected to myself. The house is quiet. I love it. So we can think we're not this, we're not that, but tomorrow is a new day. In fact, 1 minute from now is a new minute. Right now is a new second. Right now your cells are listening to what you're giving it. Right now your reality is responding. If you start focusing on a green car that I'm going to mention a few times as we start to close this episode, green car, you will start to see them. So you're going to start to see green cars and you're going to start to remember how you are the deliberate creator. I created that green car. You created that. When I was saying I was speaking as you. Anyway, you created that by shifting your reality to perceive it. And this is where our reality starts to be experienced differently. Either there are no green cars or holy crap, they're everywhere. And now every time you see a green car, could we make it mean you're lucky? Could we make it mean that worlds are coinciding, that you're abundant, that blessings are on the way? Just like if you find a penny or you see a 4-leaf clover, that means you're lucky. Make a wish. So now when you see a green car, you literally see it as blessings are on the way. And can we start to lean into that? And then when you get a free coffee or you get an unexpected payment come through, when you find a dime, when someone helps you with something you really needed and it just kind of came out of nowhere and it really helped you, you could be like, oh my gosh, that was the green car. And as we start to swell up in our own reality and our own beliefs, we start receiving more of what we believe. And this is where we become the deliberate creator. Because this life either is the hardest thing ever that sucks, or it's magic waiting to unfold. There's curiosities at every corner. Some days are like the days that keep giving. Is it teaching you a lot? Is it showing you your resilience? Is it making you grow? Or does this reality just plainly suck and the cards are stacked against you? You decide. So we don't shift our reality by just thinking different. We start to put on that new lens and then we respond different. We start to feel different. And that's where the real change starts to happen. When your body feels safer, your entire experience begins to change. Opportunities feel different. People feel different. Time feels different. Same room, different experience. So as we start to shift our reality, we start to realize, how do I want to perceive this day? Is a blessing / miracle just waiting to pop into my experience? Or is today going to be another hard day because they all are and that's it forever and ever? I encourage you to explore the lens in which you're viewing this life. And that's why sometimes it's so powerful when you get in somebody's energy, like you work with a mentor, or you go to a self-development weekend or a retreat, or you read a book that just makes you go like, oh my gosh, and it shifts up the way you see things. And you kind of took a sliver of that person's energy and you integrate it into your life, and now you're seeing things differently. This is because reality is always responding to you. And as you start to soften and as you look at it differently, and maybe not all men are bad, maybe you're not doomed to be in this financial situation, or maybe the next client of yours is literally coming in right now, sending you a message on your website, looking at your socials, like right now, your soulmate is making their way into your life. Right now, a creative idea that's going to make you money is coming. Right now, the right connections, the right people are just waiting to burst into your experience. And imagine what you would feel if you started to feel that. And a lot of that starts, in my experience anyway, with the body. And coming home into our body, starting to take these moments to feel safe, to come back into our center, to regulate, to move through emotion, so we can get back to our powerful selves. So we can get back to remembering that life is tilted in our favor. And right now, I'm in the place where I truly feel the better it gets, the better it gets. My body gets healthier every day. I focus on health and wellness, but also it doesn't even matter what I do or don't do. This life is a blessing, and I am continually experiencing more. I'm experiencing more abundance. I'm experiencing more blessings. I'm experiencing more pleasure in my body, in my physical reality. Not just knowing of it and not just seeking it in the cosmos, bringing it into the here and now to be experienced. Because what you perceive is what you receive. What you believe, the beliefs that you will die on that hill, those are shaping your reality. So let's start to look at how we can unfold that in a new way. Because if you believe every time you're drinking water that you're also attracting miracles, or that this is what body love looks like. Every time you drink water, you're getting healthier and more connected to your body, and it's releasing inflammation and releasing puff and, evening out your hormones every time you drink water. Imagine what would be possible for you to believe that you are worth the workout. And when you go on this walk, you are attracting miracles and you feel safe in your body to receive that. That is the life that I know I am fully stepping into, and what is next for me as I evolve more on this path. And I know my clients are ready for it too. It's part absolute fucking magic and part very real biology and physiology. And it just keeps getting better. And I know that I knew of a lot of this stuff, but I could not bring it into my body. I was too overwhelmed. I was too focused on really, what was wrong and the pain and the inflammation. And again, no fault of my own. I never shame myself for that. But I'm also in such a better place where my body has physically responded. My bank account, my perception, and the way I interact with reality has physically responded to this shift in energy. I know it to be real. I know it to be true. So you don't just shift your reality by uncovering another thing or unplugging all the blocks or whatever you want to say. You shift it by responding different, by choosing this as the moment that you know blessings are unfolding. And when we start to know that blessings are unfolding and know that we're meant for this and know that we're worthy of it, we start wanting to act in a new energy. So do the thing that's scary. Go on the fucking walk, make the smoothie, and just love yourself. Feel empowered, embodied in your body. And truly realize that we are living in a simulation that you can start projecting a new reality now. And I see it all the time. I see it in my life. I see it in my clients. Radical transformation. And that's how it starts, is who you be right now. The world is you pushed out. So if you are feeling all of this, and especially that body piece, look below in the show notes. I have a very basic page where you can get on the wait list to be on the insider, because everything I've been going through, I am bringing it all together. And we're really talking about getting in the body, from the very tangible and practical nervous system work, understanding how your body acts and reacts. We're even going into nutrition and loving your body and moving your body. Because if you felt like you have had a struggle with either wanting to be more in shape or wanting to heal, as I've talked about before, the inflammation, the pain, feeling like your body is just not in line with who you truly are, and there are some things going on, I definitely recommend getting on that list. Because when we work with ourselves, when we put the self-love and all the healing work into action, into our body, and we start to experience life differently, We feel more rested. We're looking after ourselves. And I know in your mind's eye, your highest self looks after her body. Whether it's, making food at home, drinking water, taking a couple key supplements that really make a difference, exercising, thriving. I know you want to be out there on walking trails and, feeling light in your skin, feeling vibrant in your life and in your nervous system. And that is the key. The nervous system really puts this into play, but we need to understand our body. So in this upcoming program, and also for some of you that don't know, I've been away for 2 years. I've run so many programs, but I haven't done any in the last 2 years. So this is really special. It is coming in hot. It's wacky and wild. There's a whole other thing attached that I'm going to share with you guys soon. But this is about coming home into your body. If you've struggled with body image, with any of these things that we've talked about, it really comes when we bring it all in together. It's not just about isolating it and just trying to lose weight or just trying to go to the gym for 6 weeks or just trying to isolate it. It's bringing it all together and learning how to listen to your body. What is it telling you? What is it trying to say to you? So I'm excited to help you in that journey so that you can experience what I've just experienced in this past year, this mind-blowing transformation physically and emotionally, but through this exact work that we're talking about. So make sure to check the link for that. And just remember that tomorrow is unfolding from right now. So if you close your eyes, take a deep breath and conjure up one emotion that you want more of. Conjure it up right now. Is it peace? Take another deep breath if you need to and really exhale. Is it peace? Is it excitement? Is it health? Is it vitality? Is it calm? Is it abundance? Is it freedom? Just sit in that for a second and feel it duplicating into your tomorrows. And the more times that we touch point with this emotion, the more that will be created. It keeps getting duplicated. So continue to know that, continue to see that. Take many seconds to conjure up more of what you want and start to see it in your reality. I'm so excited for you, and I'm so excited that you were here today for this. Thank you so much for listening to the show, and I will definitely see you in the next episode. Bye.